So it's 7 a.m. and I can't sleep. And what do I do? Well, make a video, of course, to entertain some people. I found this article. It's kind of interesting. It doesn't take a big part in any culture war or something. It's just something that I found that I like, yeah. And I want to make you guys go like, apparently, Trump-related school assignment prompts anger, the threats against Houston area teacher report. See, the current culture that exists and it's coming from the West, like a nasty fart. It's coming towards Eastern Europe as well. The current idea is that freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence. And it's like, okay. And then you're asking me to care about death threats? The freedom of speech doesn't mean like how can I care about both? Like you need to pick and choose, okay? Freedom of speech without consequences and freedom of speech with but here's another thing, right? Like death threats. Woogie. When the left says death threats, 99.9% of the time they mean nasty words on the Twitter. Like Skullfuck47 told me to go kill myself. Death threats. Jack Conte, please help. Multi-million-dollar corporations do justice on my behalf. In my country, right, and I said this in a live stream, I think it was with Jim or something like that, and they were laughing at me, and I didn't understand why. In my country, in order for a threat to be considered a threat, like legally speaking, it needs to be believable. Like the victim genuinely needs to be afraid. Like if I'm going to say to a random person that's half the world away that I'm going to shank them in the shower, they're going to go, like that's not a threat, right? If I go in the middle of the park and have a stick and I go like Expelliarmus, like no one is going, like people are going to think that I'm crazy, right? Or no, it's Avada Kedavra, right? That's not a threat. But if I go with a bag and I throw it in an airport and I say bomb and people start running, yeah, then that is a threat, right? So there's a difference. So you have like the idea that mean words on the internet are now death threats, and they're the worst thing ever. Fine. But then you have like activists on the internet that try to get people fired, ruin their lives, ruin their careers, like try to get people becoming unhireable. And you get like the family members suffering as well. Like there are families where usually like there's one income, and you make sure that income can't find a job. So for some reason, I should be more worried and more horrified about death threats and stuff like that, but getting people fired is fine. Like, did you notice how none of the social medias, none that I'm aware of, please let me know if I'm wrong, they don't really ban this activity. Like if you try, for example, to get Tucker Carlson's advertisers pull away, or if you try to get someone fired, or you can try to get someone deployed, that's fine. That is perfectly fine. But heaven forbid you dead name someone. No. And it's like, who gets to make these decisions, right? Like, obviously, getting someone out of a job is far worse than saying mean words to them on the Twitter where you can just block them. Not to mention, like, you can even get the police involved. Like, if it's a legitimate threat, you can call the authorities and the cops will step in. If someone is, like, making a harassment campaign towards you, getting like 1,000 people to call your employer to get you fired, you can't defend yourself against that. You can't mute that. You can't block that. You can't turn the computer off. It's like just anyone with a brain that really spends more than 2 minutes to think into this realizes just how crazy this shit is. But anyway, so I went on a tangent. I know. A Houston area teacher was on the receiving end of the mean words on Twitter for asking the students to review an essay that appears to be critical of President Donald Trump. I would put it a little bit more harshly than critical after reading the essay. The teacher had 7th grade students read 10 student-written essays to determine what information could be inferred, the Houston Chronicle reported. One essay titled, Trump Against American Values, this is the criticism, said some of Trump's policies have gone against what America values most, like freedom of opportunity. Lowest unemployment in ages, as I understand. Huh? Lowest unemployment in the black community as well. Taxes go down, but somehow freedom of opportunity went down as well. I don't know. I understand like a lot of businesses, like a lot of corporations also decided to rebate in America. We have witnessed insensitive remarks towards other racial and cultural groups. Insensitive remarks. That should be a crime. I think we need to bring back the guillotine and insensitive remarks like, you know? But what about insensitive remarks from racial and cultural groups towards Donald Trump? Does it work both ways? Did you notice? Like I noticed this and it pisses me off. The mainstream media just constantly orange man bad, and they have like different ways of framing it. All the way from calling him a Nazi, like there were people in the beginning sending him like actual death threats and shit, and there were like the authorities, like the Secret Service paying visits to actors and journalists that were sending death threats to the United States president because they. But anyway, right? So here's my question. Why is it that when the mainstream media and journalists and actors, they shit talk Trump, that is fine. That is 100% fine. But when Trump shits them back and shit talks them back, they're like, oh my God, did you listen to what Trump said? Oh, you know, like he's got freedom of speech as well. You know, like I keep saying, like Trump is the enemy of the mainstream media. He calls the media the enemy of the people. Like Trump is a dictator. They know he's got freedom of speech like you guys. You know, you guys want to impeach him, right? Like they want, like, oh, the Russians are coming. Like, they take down the president. That's your free speech. Like you're able to say that shit because you're in a free country, right? But at the same time, the president of that free country can call you the enemy of the people because he also has free speech. Right? But no, like, oh my God, Trump spoke. Like, yeah, he spoke. By the way, it reminds me of a cool joke. It's like back in the USSR. Dimitri, do you know that Americans are so free? They have the ability to talk shit about the United States president. They have the ability to talk shit about the US military. And they have the ability to talk shit about their government. I don't know, Igor. Here in Russia, we also have freedom. We can also talk shit about the US president, the US government, and the US army. Yeah, that's how free speech works. After reading, the students were given two multiple choice questions. The first asked, which of the following conclusion would the author most likely agree with? One response was Donald Trump should not be president. The second question asked students, the reader can infer that one of the choices listed was Mexican Americans are the major group upset with President Trump. This individual has violated the sacred trust that every parent has with the state of Texas. When they send their child to the public school, they have lost the privilege of being in a classroom with Texas children and forfeit the title of teacher. No teacher should attempt to indoctrinate a child to their ideology, no matter who is in the White House. Why can't British people say this? The parents identified by Kate in his post as Chris Felder said his daughter brought home the assignment asking for feedback. You know, like, it's funny. I speak with this guy, this Jewish gentleman by the name of Mike Halsey. I know some of you don't like him, some of you love him, you know. Controversial gentleman, but he told me like his daughter came from school and it's like, daddy, what's a socialist? And he was like, you know, ready to leave, didn't really thought much. It's like, it's a person that kills people. So he gets a phone call from the school council, right, summoning him, and apparently like they were talking about like this black woman that was a pivotal part in like the civil rights movement, and Halsey's daughter called her a murderer. And it's like, you know, like, how did that come about? Well, apparently she looked it online and she found that she later joined the Socialist Party. Okay. In a statement, the Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District said that the teacher did not use good judgment and that the matter had been settled according to the paper. Many of those calls were deeply disturbing and threatening in nature, the district said. While we all agree that the particular passage should not have been used, the teacher made a simple error in judgment. Like all of us, the teachers are humane and make mistakes. You know what? I hate the fact that every time someone fucks up, fire him, get him fired. What about deduct his wage? What about just send him home for like a month without pay? Like there's other things, and if it's a recurring theme, if he hasn't learned, if this is not a learning experience for him, then the next time fire him. You know, like this is what I should say. I don't know this guy. Maybe it's true. Maybe it's the first time he actually thought that, oh yeah, this is going to be a great shtick to give to my students. A little bit of compassion, you know, like this is what I'm going to do from now. Advocate a little bit every now and then. Not all the time. I don't have that much compassion. But a little bit of compassion. I don't ask that you guys are like me, but that's just my take. You know, like if this is the first time he ever did something like this, if normally when he comes to class he doesn't talk about politics and, you know, he's just like a normal teacher and he done goofed once, it's very easy to catch because now everyone is going to have his eyes on him, you know. So, well, what do you guys think? Am I being weak? Am I being a cook? Am I being a cook? I don't know. I'm just sick and tired of hearing like get him fired, fire. Let me know what you think. Looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comment section.